Welcome back to Darnley Cyber Café. Grab a coffee, sit down for a second, because this one's a bit of a slow burn story. You might remember the LastPass breach from 2022. A lot of people kind of filed that away as, yeah, that sucked, but it's over now. Turns out, not really. New research shows people are still losing money today, like late 2025 today, because of that breach. Not because something new happened, but because of what was taken back then. And honestly, this is one of the best examples of how cyber problems don't always explode. They just quietly keep costing people over time. If you want to pop over to Season 5, Episode 53, I discussed this breach in full back when it was published on December 13th, 2022. So yes, this is 3 years later, and I'm still reporting on it. Let me explain what happened. So back in 2022, hackers got into LastPass and stole encrypted vault backups. Not plain text passwords, but full vaults locked behind users' master passwords. At the time, LastPass basically said, quote, "Hey, if your master password is weak, attackers could eventually crack these offline," end quote. A lot of people just shrugged that off. I mean, eventually sounds like never, right? Well, turns out the hackers are very patient. Go figures. According to blockchain researchers, criminals have been slowly cracking those vaults for years, opening them up one by one, draining crypto wallets whenever they find them. Some of these thefts happened this year, 3 years later. Let me tell you what most people don't think about. When attackers steal encrypted data, they don't have to rush. They can just sit on it. It's not going anywhere, right? They can try different passwords very slowly, wait for better hardware, retry later, come back years down the road, or even wait for quantum computing to assist. So if someone had a weak password or master password back in 2022 and never changed anything, that vault is still fair game. Believe me, this happens often than you think. And understand, time actually helps the attacker here. And researchers traced over $35 million in crypto theft back to cracked LastPass vaults. Money being moved through the mixers, exchanges, the whole thing. This wasn't chaos, it was methodical. So crypto made this situation way worse. First, crypto keys don't expire for those who are unaware. If a seed phrase was valid years ago, it still works today. Second, there is no undo button. Once the funds are gone, they're gone. And third, a lot of people stored crypto secrets in password managers, which is actually fine if the vault is strong. But if the master password is weak, encryption just slows the attacker down. It doesn't stop them. So attackers crack a vault, see a seed phrase, and it's like finding cash in a drawer. Or, as Mr. Burns once said, it's like taking candy from a baby. Let's talk the Russian cybercrime angle without the drama. The researchers also followed where this money went. Even though the attackers used mixers to hide trails, patterns still showed up. Same exchanges, same infrastructure, and the same behaviors. A lot of it eventually passed through high-risk Russian exchanges that have shown up in other cybercrime cases. So this is not about politics, it's about how organized cybercrime works. They know where to cash out, they know where to hide, and they know how to wait. This was not sloppy hacking. This was a professional crime. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, but I don't even use crypto. Well, fair, but this is not really a crypto story. It's a password manager story. If you used LastPass back then and either reused a master password, made it short or predictable, didn't rotate important passwords after the breach, and didn't even use a sort of MFA, then the risk just doesn't magically disappear. It just stayed in the background. Email accounts, cloud tools, work logins, anything that lived in that vault mattered. So breaches don't end when the news cycle does. Many people forget this, and I see this with people and businesses alike. But it doesn't have to do with the fear-mongering here. It has to do with the information or the lesson learned from other mistakes. This is the key here, the golden key that will continue to protect you beyond the next 3 years. Now, speaking about businesses, some companies should feel a little uncomfortable. Now, understand that a lot of businesses let employees use personal password managers, they don't enforce master password rules, and they assume encrypted means safe. But encryption only works if the password behind it is strong. One cracked vault can expose admin access, internal tools, API keys, stuff that still works years later. Security debt doesn't go away, it compounds like interest. So why have a password manager if it cannot protect you? Well, it can, significantly, but a lock is as only good as the one turning the proverbial deadbolt. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. This isn't about buying more tools or spending more money. It's about cyber basics. Your master password actually matters a lot. Make it long, random, and unique and unguessable. Use multi-factor authentication everywhere you can. Rotate important passwords after big breaches, or just put reminders on your calendar. And don't keep secrets you don't need anymore, unless it is about Fight Club. And that's it. No magic products, no fear tactics, just good old habits. So yeah, this whole LastPass thing is really just a reminder that the cyber stuff doesn't end when the headlines disappear or you're not reminded by another big breach. What happened years ago can still reach forward and bite people today, quietly, without warning. As I always say, when you use the internet, and I like to say this in my poetic construction, it is in digital stone. But understand you do not need to panic. You do not need to unplug from the internet. It is worth slowing down, checking your vault, changing what needs changing, and not assuming old problems stayed in the past. On the information superhighway, it is always there. A little attention today saves a lot of pain later. And as always, here at Darnley Cyber Café, remember, knowledge is your power. If this episode was useful, follow the cafe to stay up to date on what we're brewing next. Our goals are always the same. Filter out the static and serve the story in a way that actually makes sense. All right, wrap up your drink, look after your digital life, and I'll catch you at the next cup.